After months of traversing the length and breadth of Nigeria, the presidential campaigns of the major candidates will in the next 5 days be wrapping up their whistle-stop tours and then prepare for the big one on Saturday, February the 25th, the presidential election. Constitutionally, all campaigns are expected to wind down 2 days before the election. For the Labour Party, it has been such a profound story, especially having to practically start from the scratch and then be able to make a massive splash all within a period of less than 8 months. As everyone brings it home in line with the Constitution, the Labour Party has once again decided to touch base with Nigerians in the diaspora through a global rally. We are now being joined by Nwokobia, who is the convener, Country First Movement, and member Obidati Presidential Campaign Organization, to try to get more understanding on the reason behind this move, sound him out on the ongoing difficulties arising from the implementation of the Naira redesign policy, the fuel crisis, and to what extent those two situations can affect the forthcoming elections, among others. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you join us today.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be on here.
All right. Well, I mean, from our intro, it's a week to go, as you can see, and the campaigns will wind down by Thursday. But then you have this global rally coming up. Talk to us about it. Why are you still interested at this point in the diaspora community? And what's the global rally all about?
Steve, let me first of all congratulate the Arise TV staff and management for 10 years of effective, efficient, and effectual broadcasting.
Thank you.
And staying in tune and in line with the masses of our people. You did great during the NSAS protestation, and you're doing wonderful about the way forward for our country.
Thank you.
Back to your question, Steve. We're thinking about a new Nigeria. We're thinking about a new day. We're thinking about a new tendency in governance. And along with Nigerians in the diaspora who remit monstrous resources to our nation, we have decided to push finally for a new day and a new deal. We are interested in ensuring that not only do our people understand the urgency of now, we're committed to ensuring that we pull our country away from the nada to promise. We are committed to ensuring that our people understand that of all the candidates, I think 18 or 19, the man who comes across as committed to the Nigerian dream, the man who comes across as committed to the new day, the man who comes across as committed to a new republic and a new deal for our people is Peter Obi of the Labour Party, LP. And the global rally is structured in a way that across 774 local governments of our country, 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, as well as major cities in Europe, America, Australia, and the likes, we are unanimous in saying that the time to take back our country for good is now. We are unanimous in saying that it is game over for the Leviathan, the APC, and the Behemoth, the PDP. We're unanimous in saying that the time for the victory of good over evil is now. We're unanimous in saying that the time for the victory of truth over evil is now. We're unanimous in saying that the time to take back our country for good is now. And we're unanimous in saying that a new Nigeria is possible. So across the nation and across the world, the obedient members of the Labour Party are saying that the time to do right is now. And Steve, may I just add that besides being a member of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council and the convener of Country First Movement, I am the Director of Public Affairs of the Big Tent, the independent campaign organization of Peter Obi, and I'm the lead spokesperson of that group.
All right, Chris. Now let's look at the whole Naira redesign policy of the CBN and also the queues in filling stations. Some have said, especially APC governors have insisted that all these are ploys to scuttle the 2023 general election next week, and it would affect voter turnout, and also it might even truncate the elections. What do you make of all these problems, these matters of problems that Nigerians are actually facing right now?
Clearly, what we have on our hands is the leadership failure. Clearly, it is about policy somersaults. Clearly, it's about the government not thinking through its policies and programmatic. But what must we do? We'll make the best of the situation until we bet a new republic, until we vote in Peter Obi for president, until we'll have a new day and a new dawn. But let me say clearly that Nigerians are suffering from many, inclusive of the current Naira redesign, many ills and failings of government. For months, it's been the problem of fear queues and fear scarcity. Several people are affected negatively, and as you and I talk, you've seen protests and problem across the country on account of the new fiscal policy. But I want to say that for every policy, there are the good sides and the bad sides. What is important to note is that, like your question suggests, is the policy auspicious at this material time? Government has made its reasons, given its reasons as to wanting to ensure that the electoral process is not compromised by any means and any way. But I want to say clearly that what is important for us is to urge the Nigerian people to stay strong. It's just a few days away. The election should hold, and if you ask my thoughts, must hold. Nigerians are anxious to get over with this process and begin to redesign and reshape our country, because I'm certain and confident that immediately after the elections, the process of redesigning and rebuilding our country will begin under the watch of Peter Obi. But as we presently go through the present problems that attends the failure of leadership, I urge Nigerians to be weary of those who pretend, who Nicodemously and Pharisaically think that they can lead the people in protestation so that the elections will be postponed or delayed. We can go through the next 1 week the same way we've gone through the past 4 years. Let's keep our eyes on the ball, keep our eyes on the goal, and get to the polls come Saturday, the 25th of February, and elect a new leader who will take us out of the nadir to promise, who will take our country away from the jangling discord of inanity, poverty, disease, despondency, and want to promise.
All right, Chris, I'm sure that you will have listened to the state broadcast by the Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, in which he was defiant, against what the president said earlier on Thursday morning as to the direction.
I can hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chris? Hello, Chris.
I can't hear you, Steve.
You can? Okay. Okay, if you can.
I can't hear you, Steve.
You can't? Okay, all right. We'll go on a short break and we'll try and fix that. When we come back, we'll return to Chris. Stay with me. You're welcome back to the morning show, and we're still joined by Chris Nwokobia, who's the convener, Country First Movement, and member Obidati Presidential Campaign Organization. So, Chris, I was asking you before we went on that break that I'm sure that you will have listened to the broadcast last Thursday by Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai. And the running mate to your presidential candidate, Dati Yusuf Baba Ahmed, has come out to say that what Governor El-Rufai said is treasonable. I know that the running mate to your candidate is also from Kaduna State, where the governor is basically asking people to defy the president. What do you make of the intervention by Yusuf Datti on the position of the Kaduna State governor? Is this about whose voice will be stronger in Kaduna State politics?
No, it's about service to our nation. It's about commitment to truth. If you ask me, was the broadcast by Mr. President very correct? I would say it has strong and serious legal issues. But if you ask me, what about the broadcast by the governor of Kaduna State? I'll tell you it's absolute treason. And there's no lifespan to criminal action. So maybe he will have his day in court after May the 29th. Now, regarding the vice presidential candidate of my party and the incoming, God willing, vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, his reaction at the press conference that I was privileged to have attended yesterday with him was apposite, prime, trite, and right. He did capture it properly. Within the purview of the law, what the governor of Kaduna State did was absolutely treasonable. And I think that, but well, are you surprised? It's in the character and the tradition of the governor of Kaduna State. And that was why in Obasanjo's book, former President Obasanjo, he referred to him as a young man lacking in loyalty, that his sense of loyalty is perhaps as brief as his physical stature. But that's by the way. What is important here is that as we go forward, we must learn to call people to order. And what he has done is absolutely wrong. You do not try to provoke the people against the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's absolutely wrong. It's condemnable, lampoonable, and reprehensible. And I align completely with the position of a vice presidential candidate of my party and the incoming vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, Chris, let's talk about Governor Samuel Ortom. So a few days ago, he came out to say that Peter Obi is his own candidate for president. How much of a boost is this for the Obi Datti campaign movement? And talk to us about, we hear also about some other governors that are secretly supporting Peter Obi. Talk to us all about this.
Let me say, interestingly, my brother, that from the cliche of 2, 3, 4 persons tweeting a room, we have become the phenomenon, we have become the monument, we've become the movement everybody defers to. From 2, 3 persons allegedly without structure, we have become the structure being endorsed by governors, by leaders of thought, and by tendencies across the country. We have the support of even a group like the Miyetti Allah. We have support of the Northern Elders. We have support of the immediate of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. We have support of governors. Some of them are bedroom and closet obedience. You know why? There is something Rousseau said a long time ago, that falsehood on the throne, truth on the scaffold, that same truth sways the future. For behind the darkness unknown standeth God, keeping watch over his own. As I talk to you today, what is most important is that Nigerians understand that of the lot, the most competent, the candidate with the greatest compassion, the candidate with the greatest empathy, the greatest capacity, and the one who has come across to Nigerians as truly willing, ready, and able to serve is Peter Gregory Obi. And so we're not surprised that people are endorsing him across the country. What is important, and I tell him and those in the campaign, that we have a monstrous task ahead of us. The task of taking care of our country, fixing our country for good, living true to what we have said on paper, and moving our country truly from consumption to production. It's an onerous task, and we must prepare for that because Nigerians believe in this candidate. And that is why across the world, indeed, as I talk to you, the moment I leave this stage, I'll be off to the Unity Fountain to join Nigerians who are gathering to solidarize and support the candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his vice presidential candidate, Yusuf Baba Ahmed. And I said to you, my brother, that a new dawn beckons, a new Nigeria is possible, and our unalterable commitment is to see that together we birth that new day that our people have longed for.
All right, Chris, just before we let you go, talk to us about your readiness. We know that your party's readiness for next Saturday's election. A lot of people are still a bit apprehensive. The Naira redesign thing, Supreme Court, will reconvene on Wednesday. There were skirmishes of protests here and there in some parts of Lagos and Ogun State yesterday. Do you think that in spite of all these little hiccups, few security concerns in the southeast, do you think that the election will proceed as designed? And are you fully ready? Just in a minute, please.
We're absolutely ready. We're committed and hopeful, but we are not overly optimistic that the system will pull through with the odds and the challenges. The only thing we want to say is beg of Mr. President to do all that is needful, because he has said that he wants to hand over power in May 29th, and he wants the process to be free, fair, and credible. I pray he lives true to it. And then the Nigerian Armed Forces and indeed the police have said that they will do everything necessary, humanly possible, to ensure that the polls holds. So I want to implore every Nigerian to understand that the very moment Peter Obi is voted in on the February 25th, a new dawn beckons. And so many of these tenuous challenges will naturally diminish whilst Nigerians walk with the hope that come May 29th, we shall begin the process of rebuilding and fixing our country. Clearly, Steve, we want the elections to hold. Clearly, Steve, we want a democratically a free, fair, and credible election. Clearly, Steve, we want Nigerians, it's been a long campaign. We want Nigerians to have some rest after the 25th of February and then return perhaps to the polls on the 11th of March. We want a free, credible, and fair election, and we want a peaceful Nigeria. We want that new day that Nigerians have longed for. And together with the Labour Party and Peter Obi, a new day beckons, a new Nigeria is possible, and I believe that together we shall bet that day. God bless you, and God bless Nigerians.
All right, thank you very much, Chris, for your time here on The Morning Show.